I grew up in rural Maryland, surrounded by nothing but cornfields and woods. The land was flat and quiet. Our house was between them. Golden corn on one side, dark woods on the other. The road to our house was 6 miles of gravel, dusty and empty. Only a few people lived down it. Us, some neighbors, and sometimes an archaeology truck driving down to dig in the field next door when the farmers plowed the earth. Everyone knew everyone. The nearest store was 30 minutes away. It was that kind of place, isolated, except when something strange happened. Weird things happened in that house all the time. I was playing piano upstairs one afternoon when, bang, something hit the wall outside my room. It was a loud, fist-like thud. My parents yelled, "What was that?" I went out to ask them the same thing, and at that moment, my piano started playing by itself. It played one of those goofy demo songs, tinny and robotic. I hadn't touched a thing. We were frightened and called my brother in college to tell him what happened. Years later, he said he heard a low, growly laugh in the background of the call. It frightened him so much that he kept it to himself for a long time. I was sitting in the sunroom one afternoon when I saw my brother walking across the front yard toward the door. He was wearing the red hoodie he always wore. I turned toward the living room to greet him, and there he was, sitting on the couch, wearing a blue shirt, staring at me like I was crazy. Whoever I saw outside wasn't him. My parents had similar experiences. They would hear me talking in the house when I was at school. Small things like that started to unsettle us. But the big one, the one I can never fully remember, happened when I was in the 8th grade. Jake, his dad, and I were there. That's when we saw her, the witch. It was a fall afternoon, and the sky was burning orange. Jake's dad was driving me home in his battered truck, which only had 3 seats. Jake was squished between us. We were on the long straightaway, where I could see my house in the distance beyond the field. That year, the field was soybeans, short and sparse, not like the tall corn that blocks your view. And then we saw her, lying in the ditch by the road. The ditch was weedy and about 2 feet deep, but we could only see her from the waist up, like she was sitting cross-legged. She wore a dirty, off-white nightgown with a brown stain at the hem, like she had crawled through the dirt. Her hair was black, messy, and matted, like she never brushed it. She rocked back and forth in slow circles, arms raised, her head thrown back, like she was praying to something, or trying to call something down. We passed her close enough to see her face. It was pale and sharp-featured, with wide-set, empty eyes. My stomach sank. She didn't belong there. Jake's father, a large man and a carpenter, wasn't one to scare easily. He gripped the wheel and muttered, "What was that?" That frightened me more than she did. He never messed around with ghost stories. Jake just stared out the window, silent. I couldn't say anything either. She wasn't homeless, and she wasn't some stranger passing through. We were too far out. In 20 years of living there, I had never seen anyone like that on that road. She looked old, but not like a grandma. More like someone from another time. It felt like she'd been sitting in that ditch forever. We arrived at my house, and Jake's dad didn't just drop us off. He pulled into the driveway, got out, and walked us inside. This wasn't normal. Our families weren't close. He stood in our kitchen with his hands in his pockets, telling my parents what we had just seen. "Some lady in the ditch," he said. "Weird as hell. Arms up, rocking like a nutcase." My parents frowned and looked out the window, but the field blocked their view. Dad said, "Maybe she's lost. Maybe she needs help." We called the police because we thought she might need mental health assistance or something like that. Jake's dad lingered for a few minutes, drinking water and stalling. I don't think he wanted to drive back past her alone. When they left, we waited. The police arrived 20 minutes later. There were 2 of them, with flashlights searching. They came in afterwards and said they searched the ditch, the fields, and the road. Nothing. There was no one there. There were no footprints, no flattened plants, nothing. Jake's dad called when they got home. She was gone when we got back, he said. The whole place was empty. His voice sounded off, like even he didn't believe it. I thought that was it. Weird, but done. Then the sound started. A week later, I heard whispers in the night. Soft, like someone speaking outside my window. I looked, but there was nothing, except soybeans shifting in the dark. The sounds got louder, words I couldn't make out, hissing in a harsh female voice. One night, I woke up to my piano playing again. The same demo tune, slow and warped. I pulled the plug out, but it didn't stop. I kept hearing it. Soft, like it was in the walls. Dreams came after. I'd dream of her, the witch, sitting in the ditch, rocking, arms raised. She'd turn slowly and stare at me. Her eyes weren't empty anymore, black, shiny, like wet rocks. She'd smile, teeth crooked and yellow, and whisper my name. I'd wake up drenched in sweat, heart racing. I once discovered dirt on my floor, crumbly, dark, like the ditch. Windows were shut. No way it got in. But then, things got worse. I was out one night, taking the dog out, flashlight glinting off trees, when I saw her, in the field, at the edge of the woods. Same nightgown, same tangled hair, arms up, rocking. I dropped the bag of food, ran in, told my parents. Dad grabbed his shotgun, went out there. Came back 20 minutes later, pale. Nothing, he said. Just wind, but his hands were shaking. And then the archaeology crew. A month after I saw her, they came back to dig next door. I walked over one day because I was curious. One of the men, a thin guy with glasses, spoke to me in a quiet tone. "Do you live around here?" he asked. I nodded. He looked nervous. "We discovered something weird last night. We heard singing. Old, spooky, like a woman. We thought it was you guys, but it was coming from the field." He showed me a shard of old pottery they had discovered. Black, with a figure on it. Arms up, in a nightgown, swaying. I shivered. "Keep it on the down low," he said. "The boss doesn't like ghost stories." I didn't tell him I had seen her too. Something happened last month. I was back home from college, rummaging through our attic for items to sell. I came across a box with old documents, photographs, and things from those digs. One photograph caught my eye. A blurry photo of a woman in a nightgown, standing in a field. She had black hair, arms spread, swaying. There was a note on the back stating, "Found near site, 1700s, object nearby." My stomach dropped. She wasn't from now. She was from back then. Those digs had once revealed bones, human, old, buried near the surface. No one knew who they belonged to. Then I discovered it. A cold, small thing in the box. A ring, dull silver, with tiny crows carved into it. I put it on. I shouldn't have. That evening, the whispers turned to screams. Her voice, loud, saying, "You took it. You're mine." I removed the ring, tossed it into a drawer, but it was too late. The next morning, the drawer was ajar, and the ring sat on my desk, dirt around it. I burned it in the yard, melted it down, but the screaming didn't stop. She's closer now. Last night, I heard scratching, slow and careful, on my window. I looked out and saw nothing. This morning, I saw a scratch on the glass. 3 lines, like claws. A black feather, twisted, was wedged in the frame, and my arm. There was a fresh scratch, like something had grabbed me in my sleep. Jake says his dad spoke of her until he died. He said she wasn't human and that she marked us that day. I believe him now. The whispers say my name, and they're getting louder. In my last dream, she wasn't in the ditch. She was in my room, standing over me, smiling and holding that awful ring. I no longer walk that way alone, but I feel her, waiting, and I don't think she'll ever let go.